Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome, and thank you again for joining me on the late one in review with yours truly, Sylbourne Garry, on this beautiful Thursday evening. As you can see, I'm in a polar neck because guess what? It's a bit cold now. The heat wave is gone, but I've got the person here tonight. I've got someone, before I start the show, I've got someone who brought the heat here into the UK. She brought the heat into the UK, and her name is Christine Campbell-Swaby, and she's gonna come on to the show. What we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about an event on the 20th of this month, and but first of all, before I go, it's been a very interesting week. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank those for joining me on Instagram, those on Facebook, those on YouTube. For those on Instagram, you got to go onto the YouTube, which is Sylbourne TV, in order to actually see the full show and see the full lineup of guests. We were going to have a very interesting discussion. And the topic of the show is the road to number 10 continuous heat wave. As you know, is Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss, who are the two persons who are vying to be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and party leader of the Conservative. And that's it. But before we go any further, there's an event which is happening this Sunday, July the 24th, 2022, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's at the Kariba Education Centre, 7 Gresham Road, London, SW9 7PH. And it's by Samon and Swaby Law Firm. And it's a free legal seminar presented by British Jamaican attorney at law, Christine Campbell-Swaby, a partner at Salmon and Swaby Law Firm, Kingston, Jamaica. Sunday, July the 24th. Do you have an outstanding land matter? Need to probate a will or administer an estate in Jamaica? Do you? And the question is the diaspora as well. She's here to engage with the diaspora. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Christine Campbell-Swaby right away. Ooh.
Hi, good evening, Sylbourne.
Hi, good
evening.
Good
evening, Sylbourne. How are you?
I'm cool in the Malibu.
Long time no see. It's good to see you.
Well, in my opening, I mentioned that the sun came out. And we're trying to find where, and I found out now why, because Christine, you came to the UK, you brought the sun, but
you brought that whole heap of heat to from Jamaica, but you couldn't manage it though.
You put something extra on it. Did you put something extra on it?
Train lines were buckling, and it's been unfortunate with the fires, but yeah, it goes to show that the UK is just not quite yet set up for that kind of climate. You may have to do something about it because apparently it's going to be an ongoing thing for the next 20, 30 years or so. You're going to have a much higher temperament here in the UK, so you need to work with it. Yeah,
that's interesting what you said there, because they're also talking about whenever you got a snowstorm in the UK, everything shuts down really as well. I think the UK cannot manage different things. But hey, anyhow, welcome to the UK again, the land of your birth.
Thank you. I'm a Birmingham born and bred. Birmingham born and bred.
Awesome. So tell us about your event, July. I'm hearing a feedback. I don't know if it's from your side. I don't know if somebody has something.
No, I don't think it's my side.
That's all right.
I'm not hearing that feedback. Okay, so very quickly, I'm, as you said, Christine Campbell-Swaby, partner at Samon and Swaby Law Firm based in Kingston, Jamaica. And we I suppose because of my connections to the UK, we have a lot of Jamaican diasporans as our clients. And what we have found over the years is that we get the most inquiries, a lot of inquiries about land matters, people trying to get their titles or trying to probate a will in order to inherit, their legacy from their parents, or we get inquiries about how to protect an estate before parents have died and so forth, how to transfer during their life and the costs and the processes involved in that. And I find that because for the diasporans that are outside of Jamaica, in the UK, in my experience, because they are outside of Jamaica, they are sometimes at a disadvantage in knowing exactly what to do in having the time to do so. When they come to Jamaica, they may be on a short time scale of, you know, a month or 2 weeks to a month. And it's not a lot of time to get things sorted out. That is why we often reach out. And with you know, in the age of technology now, we can do things, you know, at long arm's length. You don't have to come to Jamaica to sort out your matters. We can do things just like how we're doing things now, via digital and by email, etc. And it works. Yeah, as long as you're able to notarize your documents, because all legal documents, when they come into the Jamaican system, legal system, whether it be the courts, the tax office, or the National Land Agency, which are the three main agencies that we deal with, they have to be notarized. And that's a cost in itself, but that's a lot less than having to come to Jamaica, book into a hotel, take time off work, and all those kinds of things. And it does work if you are dealing with experienced attorneys at law, as we are at Samon and Swaby Law Firm.
So for this Sunday, because I think, is this your second time doing this? I mean,
you know what? I think it's my second time at the Caribou. And I think it's about the third time that I've done something like this in the United Kingdom. We had a long break because of COVID, obviously.
Yes,
so we didn't do anything for a long time. And I said, as I said in the on the flyer, this is just one date in London at this time, because I'm mindful of the fact that, you know, we are still just coming out of COVID. Some people do not want us, you know, to gather in crowds, etc. And if that is a concern for you, for persons that come on Sunday, then, you know, I invite you, by all means, keep on your mask. You know, because I respect those protocols, and those persons that may have, you know, underlying health issues and are worried, keep on your mask but still attend.
Okay. So the event is on the 24th, and ladies and gentlemen,
24th of July, 2 till 5 p.m. at the Caribou Education Centre in Brixton, London. Now, I'm going to be giving a lot of information. I'm going to keep the ground running. So don't be late, because if you come late, you're going to miss vital information. I'm going to be going full throttle, and you will get valuable information. It's almost as though you're getting a free consultation. Free, but it is free. It is like a free consultation on the matters that touch and concern the Jamaican diaspora here in the United Kingdom.
And if people want to get hold of, at the same time, whether a person attend the event or not, and if they want to get hold of you, ladies and gentlemen, you can see the numbers, the email going across. But you can say, Christine, how people can get hold of you.
Okay, so usually, because we get a lot of inquiries on our telephones, on WhatsApp, because our WhatsApp numbers are out there. We prefer, to be honest with you, and you get a better result if you go to the website, samonandswaby.com, and then follow the links, click onto it, and pay the consultation fee. The consultation fee is only $120 and then that will give you 45 minutes. We can extend it to an hour if needs be. So say an hour's consultation via Zoom or WhatsApp if you can't manage Zoom, because some people can't manage Zoom, or WhatsApp, and we will be able to look at your documents beforehand. Once you've paid your consultation fee, then you can send us documents to get the most out of your hour's consultation. Because I understand that you may want to speak to us beforehand to decide if you have a case or what we can do for you. You can't necessarily get into our office in Jamaica because you're in the United Kingdom. So I think that it's excellent value for money. It's an excellent use of time and resources to have that consultation face to face with either myself or Mrs. Debbie Samon, the other partner of the firm.
So Christine, just before you leave now, and after that event, what if people want to meet with you before you go back to Jamaica? Are you having some?
I believe, and don't quote me, but I'm saying this now because I believe that I have some time booked at the same Caribou, not the following day, not the Monday, but the Tuesday, the 26th. Tuesday the 26th.
Yes.
I am not sure of the time. I think it is in the evening. I may be able to see maybe 2 or 3 persons during that time for a fee, but I will announce that on the day of the presentation. That will be confirmed to those persons at the presentation going forward.
So ladies and gentlemen, do you have outstanding land matters, need to probate a will or administer an estate in Jamaica, issues in Jamaica, And Christine, sorry, just to clarify, you're
Okay,
on.
can I just say one more
Please,
thing, Sylbourne? I don't want to take up your time.
please.
I always do this. I never come empty-handed to the United Kingdom. There will be Jamaican goodies, prize draw, the good stuff.
Yaman banana rum.
The Ray and his nephew, and the other one, the Appleton. There will be Jamaican goodies raffled on the night, just as a prize giving, just to say thank you for coming, etc. For persons in attendance.
Okay.
On Sunday.
Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, Karibu Education Centre, 7 Gresham Road, London, SW9. Is that Brixton? That's Brixton, isn't it?
It's Brixton. Sylbourne, I can't believe you're asking me.
No. Because normally people say Brixton. You know what I'm saying?
It is Brixton.
Yeah,
it is Brixton.
That's where we were the last time, isn't it? Because I came.
Yes,
there
you recall. Yes, Brixton. So I'm hoping to have a full house. I'm hoping that people gain the information. Information is power. Knowledge is power. Yeah. And it is more to me. It is the system in Jamaica is more complicated in terms of getting like probate matters done and estate matters sorted out. Simply because you're overseas, so you have more to prove, and the notary system and all of that, you can't avoid it. But once you follow a certain path and follow the instructions of the attorneys, you will get your result eventually.
Christine, have a fantastic one, and
thank you for having me. Yes,
I would have joined you this time, but I have some conflict.
You said. I will come back next year. I think next year we're going to do a few more dates around the country, probably Birmingham again, Manchester, possibly Leeds, do up north as well.
I know, we see Jamaica before that. I must reach Jamaica before you come.
I hope so. It's time for you to come to Jamaica and visit, bring the family.
Yeah.
Overdue, Sylbourne.
Yes.
Overdue. Nice talking to you.
Pleasure is mine.
And take care. All right. Bye-bye now. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, this Sunday, the 24th of July, Karibu Education Centre, 7 Gresham Road. You can join Christine Campbell-Swaby, dealing with land matters, need to probate a will or administer an estate in Jamaica, as she engages with the diaspora, which is so crucial. Now, moving on now, of course, we've got the key thing, which is the road to number 10 and the heat wave. Let me bring in my guests as well, Mr. Anthony Francis. Anthony, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, good evening, Sylbourne. Good to be on the show again.
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready for the big time. Ready for the big time. And
big time's here.
we the flyer which I had, Anthony, the flyer is there. The first flyer before had everybody, I believe, on the same level, like Rishi and Liz just. And I said to the person, hang on a second, they're thinking that all of us are vying now for number 10.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, the other people who you had on there, as well as myself and other guests, we all probably could have put our hat in the ring, I think.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to change up some rules with 1922 committee, But until I get Ortega, Temienor, who is supposed to come, and Garry Graham, I'll wait on. Okay, let me see. Ortega is here. Hey, good evening. How are you, Ortega? Okay. No sound from your side.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Nice to meet you. Anthony, nice to meet you. Is it Francis or Anthony?
Anthony Ortega. Nice to meet you also.
Anthony.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Francis is a project leadership coach and the author of Think It, Plan It, Do It Now. And Think It, Plan It, Do It Now is a book that simply says, once you think it, you plan it, and you do it now. Don't want to wait around for a long 55 steps to do it. Am I right, Anthony? Is that right? 55
steps. You nailed it exactly. The title says it all. It's Think It, Plan It, let's do it now.
Yeah, 10,000 steps to that, you know what I mean? Let's just do it now. Time is running short. And of course, I have Mr. Ortega Timmer, is a social change agent, mentor, CEO, and politics, currently the national debate leader at the CPF, with work focused on the Department for Digital Culture, Media, and Sport. Ortega, just to help us out, what is CPF? If persons ask that question, sir.
Right. Yes, the CPF is the Conservative Policy Forum. It's the grassroots policy arm of the Conservative Party. It's the way the party engages with the grassroots on the sort of policy areas the government should be focusing on. It's a way we actually shadow the government to support them because we have the ears of the grassroots. So there's always engagement. We engage ministers, members of parliament, and public opinion and influencers in the UK to get them to talk about issues that affect the grassroots. And when we finish such conversation, we are able to formulate policy and make policy suggestions to the ministers and also to number 10 as well.
Right, that's very interesting. So what you're talking about is being engaged and being at the table for change. At the same time, if you want to see something, you got to step up to the plate, show up,
Yes.
just like how Kevin showed up. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it.
But anyway, let's move straight on. We have seen now that the two latest, the contenders now is Liz Truss, who is there, the Foreign Secretary, and also Rishi Sunak, who was a former Chancellor. They are the two persons who are now in place to run for the leadership of the Conservative Party and by default the Prime Minister. Anthony, I'll go with you first. What's your take on how it has moved now, shifted from all of those to the two now? We're on the final furlong. What do you want to see?
Well, I think what the country would like to see, if I'm honest, as opposed to what I would like to see personally, is a leader that gets elected that can pull together the country after the disastrous fiasco of the last couple of years of the Boris Johnson era, which has been highly sort of critical in terms of the way he's gone about trust, integrity, and I suppose really leadership skills with the Conservative Party. And I think what people now want to see is an individual who can pull together the country and address some of the real challenges that people are now experiencing with cost of living. Obviously, we know about the Ukraine situation, which is out of our controls to a certain degree. But we want to really sort of have somebody who can actually deal with some of these things and not just simply just talk. So I'm hoping that either one of the two candidates can do that. I do have a personal preference, but I think ultimately, let's see what the TV debates tell us, what they show us, what they say their policies are going to be. Because I think most of the time, they give us this sort of wait until I've been elected type of thing, but we can't afford to wait. The people need to be able to hear what it is they're going to do and how they're going to do it and why they're going to do it. Because obviously we want that, they want us to have their trust. So that's what I want to. That's if I'm being objective, that's what I would like to see, Sylbourne. I'd like to see two candidates that actually provide us with some clear outline as to what they want to do, how they're going to actually get the economy working, how they're going to address some of the real key issues, so that we can make an informed decision and get the right person in the post.
I'm going to come back to you on the debate, and I'm going to come back to you as to trusting the Conservative members to make that decision. I go to Ortega. Ortega, I was on BBC 94.9 on Sunday night, and because I was introduced as a Conservative member, I'm very objective on my shows like this now, so I don't play lines. They challenge me as to say, who are you going to be supporting? And I couldn't say. And I said, here we are. Another Conservative don't know what they want. Can I ask you that question? Who are you supporting, Ortega?
It's a very tricky question. As a politician, there's a number of sort of factors that determine where you throw your support at. You don't just irrationally support anyone. So there is still a couple of weeks to go before the party has sent out the ballot for people to vote with, but there's going to be hustling where the candidates can speak to members face to face. I think the one for London is happening at the end of August. However, before then, we have I'm part of different groups and I'm listening to what people are saying. The debate has been on for a long time. And what you see is that people are shifting their positions based on what they're hearing and what some of the candidates have been saying. In the next few weeks, there's going to be a lot of promises. I have a bit of a background in economics. I know the direction the economy is going, and I need to know exactly what these people are promising, if it's realistic, if it's deliverable, and if it's something that would help us get out of the impending recession that we might find ourselves. So these are the sort of things you have to think about carefully. There's also the social part of things. But as a politician as well, it's very important that you are always part of all sorts of groups. And sometimes you are aligning yourself to what some of your groups are saying based on the promises these politicians are saying we would offer this group. So
Yes.
there's jostling, there's hustling, and there's realigning. And I think that's what's going to happen in the next few weeks. I know this is a political answer, but you don't expect me people to say A or B at the moment.
Okay. well, thanks for that. I just want to introduce Gary Graham. Gary, how are you doing, sir? Gary, can you hear me? I think he's not in. Gary?
Can you?
How are you?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. Do you think there's a delay? 1, 2, 3, Gary? Okay, there's a massive delay. I think you're in Jamaica. Huh? Gary, I'm gonna ask you to come back in here. I'm gonna ask you to come back in. Okay. Interesting points you mentioned there, Ortega. But before I go back to Anthony, what is it that Anthony has sort of set out what he's expecting to see from a non-conservative angle? What are you expecting to see or to hear from the leaders at the same time, and translating that to the public?
I think the first thing we want to see during this contest and then moving forward, we want a leadership that can unite the party. If there's one thing that Boris Johnson did for the Conservative Party the last few years, is that before he came into office, the party was so divided. There was no real leadership. There was no confidence in the leadership of Theresa May. There were cliques in the party. And this disruption, obviously, the public will not have confidence in a party that is divided against itself. So we need a leader that can unite the different factions within the party. And with Boris Johnson leaving now, this division is further deepening. And I think a Richie Sunak or a Liz Truss can do that. And one thing I know about the Conservative Party is that at the end of this contest, the party will align itself and will unite with whichever person becomes the prime minister.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you on that point. Gary, how are you? I think it's clear now. We're now 1-to-1. Gary?
Yes, I'm good.
Good.
It's great to be a part of this.
Yes, thank you, Gary. Gary, I introduced you to Ortega Timmer. Ortega, meet Gary Graham. Gary, we were talking about where we are now with the leadership with Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. What is it that you want to see going forward up to becoming prime minister?
What I want to see, I need to see the Conservative Party come together, and I don't think that that's going to happen with Sunak, really.
Okay, I'm going to go to Anthony. Anthony is interested. The leaders should unite the party And Gary said they should bring the party together. What do you think the people in the country are actually saying? Are they saying bring the party together, or they're saying get on with the business of the government, get on with the business of sorting out this high cost of inflation? You guys are fighting each other and killing off each other. Gary, what do you say? I mean, Anthony, please. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, Sylbourne, your microphone, by the way, was quite crackly just then. So
Okay.
it seems clearer now. But I think I've got the
Okay.
gist of what you were saying. Either get
Yeah.
the job done or unite the party.
Mm.
I think, to be honest, I think people, the general public, are saying both things. They want both things done at the same time. They don't want to hear this bickering anymore, which has obviously been going on for some time, and they can obviously see the divisions within the Conservative Party and the individuals concerned.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, people, they vote with their feet, and right now people are suffering with cost of living, and if I'm honest, I don't think they really care that much about the Conservative Party's problems. They're thinking about their own problems. Can they pay the bill? Can they turn the heating on this winter? They're the things that the actual people in the street want to see. And by default, I would expect that the Conservative Party would pull themselves together, as Ortega has said, and actually get behind whoever they eventually put in number 10. Because otherwise, if they continue with the same discourse that they're having now, they'll be out of office within a year. Because what's probably going to happen anyway is whoever wins this leadership election, as they always do, because they will be somebody who has not been elected by the general public, they will call an election. It's the standard protocol. They'll call an election because what they'll want to get their own mandate, and they can only get their mandate by actually going to the people and saying they were elected by the people. So I think that's what people are really interested in. They want to simply see someone. They want to see that whoever wins, comes in, addresses the immediate issues, forget about all the bickering that's gone before, and actually starts to address some of those concerns that we all have around cost of living, around healthcare, around transportation, around jobs, all of the things which are the sort of common, normal things that we need to have addressed. I mean, I can't get a GP's appointment, for example. These are the things that people are suffering with, and they couldn't care less about some rich folk in the Conservative Party who don't get on with each other.
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting point that Anthony just raised there. And I hope I'm very clear and it's not crackling. And it is very clear that people are actually wanting to see action. They want to see deliverables. They want to see things happening and away from the bickering at the same time. Of these two leaders, Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss, one of them, I believe, is following the same line, and one is actually deviating from it. It was very clear by Keir Starmer that there's going to be a call for election if these guys deviate, because these guys are actually fighting against each other. He actually was using some of the policies that people were actually fighting against each other during the debate. If let's just deviate from the present policy, isn't that ammunition for Mr. Starmer to call an election?
Well, Mr. Starmer doesn't have the right to call an election. As far as I can remember, we have a fixed parliament at the moment, so it's going to be unprecedented for Starmer to think he can ask for an election. He's been calling for that for quite some time now.
Yeah.
What you understand is that when Boris Johnson called an election in 2019, it was because we had a clear issue about the direction the country should be going. Part of the Labour Party continued to represent a danger to the fulfillment of Brexit, and there was this idea that the British public did not know what they were doing and were happy to change their mind. And Boris thought, you know what, we have a Brexit deal. Let's go back to the British people to say, I am happy to implement this Brexit deal. Do you want to go back or do you want to go forward? And it was very clear the British people overwhelmingly with the 80 extra seat, including some of the most important seats that Labour have had for many years, said, yes, we need Brexit. So we don't have that kind of situation now. There is no real shift in policy. If you listen to what both of them are saying, they are simply responding to the economic crisis the entire world have found itself at the moment. The crisis in Ukraine, the aftermath of the pandemic has caused nations around the world to experience economic problems and shock. The energy crisis that is happening. They both want to do the same thing, which is elevate the pain and suffering of the British people. However, they just have different ways of looking at it. What should come first? Should we reduce tax first, or should we deal with the inflation first? It's more of the egg. Is it the egg or the chicken that should come first? Yeah, and I don't think it's a deviation from what the Boris Johnson government fundamentally represents.
Okay, let's look at the leaders. Let's look at the leaders right here that we have and what they represent and what they stand for. Anthony, I see you're taking on some of these guys on Twitter. Rishi Sunak, what does he stand for?
Well, I think personally, Rishi Sunak, even though he's relatively young in terms of his time in Westminster, he's only got elected in 2015. But I think what we've seen with Rishi Sunak, especially given his age, the role that he had as Chancellor, he has demonstrated considerable competence, both in terms of his ability to manage the economy, when we were in a crisis, addressing the issue around furlough. And he's somebody who obviously is able to articulate and communicate in a very effective way. And I think what the country needs is somebody who actually is able to put those things together and get their message across. So personally, I think that Rishi Sunak would make an ideal prime minister out of the two candidates, mainly because of those areas of strengths that he has. I mean, on the other hand, Liz Truss has been in the parliament since 2010, so it's been in there a lot longer than Rishi Sunak. And I think what it demonstrates is that she's been in there longer, but actually hasn't achieved very much. So you have to sort of say to yourself, what actually is Liz Truss about? And when you listen to her speak, you'll find that most of the time she's simply reiterating a lot of worn records without really understanding the brief. I mean, you only have to go and watch a couple of YouTube clips, videos, and she, when she's put on the spot and asked the question, well, what does that mean? Who did you actually go and get to do so-and-so? Please give me an example of this. She's always found wanting. So she's very good at simply just regurgitating the same stuff. But when you actually sort of look behind and say, well, give me the substance, show me the detail, there's nothing there. And I think that's really what I hope the Conservative members, when they do their analysis, they actually, they compare like for like. Is there credibility? Is there leadership skills? Is there honesty? Is there integrity? Is there knowledge? Is there competence to be able to do a job of prime minister and not just, rehash the same old stuff simply because she's a Boris loyalist?
Thanks for that, Anthony. Very well put. Gary, what's your take about Liz Truss? Let's do the Rishi Sunak. Let's do the Rishi Sunak. Yes.
Well, with Rishi, I'm opposite. I think I'm a little opposite to what my friend Anthony is saying about Rishi. I think he's an opportunist, and I think that he may be suited for it, but I think he was one that really put the knife in Boris. I mean, who's better than who's the best one in the Conservative Party really at this moment? I don't think any of them are better than any one of them. I think with Liz Truss, she has credibility in that the world knows her only through being foreign secretary, and she's been in, if my recollection is correct, she's been in the government far longer than Rishi, if I'm correct. I stand to be corrected. So
Right.
Liz Truss could have more credibility with who she's dealing with, because Boris, in my estimation, again, Boris and I spoke to my learned friend this week, and he almost beat my head off when that the people are laughing at him. I I think they're taking for a joke, but I think that Liz has brought and has held a little bit of confidence to the government, and I don't think that Rishi has that. I don't think he's got that as yet. If it was a few more years down the road, another year or two down the road, then probably so. But at this moment in time, I think, and I would say what one of the journalists said at his press conference, he's corrosive, and I think he's divisive, and I think that will come out if he becomes prime minister. That is going to come out quite strongly.
Ortega, that is the very interesting point that Gary said a while ago. Gary said about knifing, stabbing Boris in the back, et brute. What's your take on that point? One of you,
I
Gary.
think, if I'm being honest, people are rather unfair to Richie Sunak as a politician. Every member of parliament that is elected has the right to vie for the highest position. In fact, that is why most of them have come into parliament. Everyone has the right to have the ambition to be a prime minister. And the House of Parliament, it's more like a house of cards. It's a place for politicking. So when you take advantage of other people's weakness, it's not necessarily bad, because the party needs to be protected. The British people and the government needs to be protected. If you find out that the person is in authority, is acting recklessly, is making bad mistakes at some point, the party or the parliamentarians need to move. Someone needs to take a bold step to say this has to stop. The Conservative Party and the Parliament gave Boris a lot of chances to do things right. Now, this was not a Tony Blair situation where Gordon Brown thought it was his time to be PM. This is a situation where a prime minister was making catastrophic mistakes, silly mistakes. And the British people, the polls were showing that without Richie having to do much, he was getting up there in the polls, because what he did as a chancellor in a time of crisis in this country, how he was able to navigate us out of a catastrophe that people were not out in the street begging or stealing, how he was able to make businesses to stay afloat and to make sure unemployment did not skyrocket was incredible. In fact, I could go on to say he was a genius. And the British people, this was a stark contrast with what we had just 10 years ago, with what happened with the first conservative government of David Cameron. People saw that he guided us out of a crisis, and people can see how hard working he is. Now, Boris was the first person to stick a knife on him, because naturally they saw him going up, and it was Number 10 that leaked the. Now, this is a speculation that the leaking of his wife's tax affairs. Most newspapers reported that came from Number 10 to damage him as a young man that the party was beginning to see as a shining light, as someone that was dependable in a government that seemed not to be dependable. No person, no politician, as young as he is, makes a decision that I am going to take over from my boss. It would have to be people in the party, MPs, deciding to unite behind an alternative. And when that happens, as a politician, you do not say no when you have more than half of the parliamentarian MPs saying, now, he hasn't promised them anything. When you have more than half of them saying, we want to support you because we no longer have confidence in Boris, you don't say no to such an offer. It doesn't come twice. Now, remember what Boris did to Theresa May and what he did to David Cameron. Both ministers didn't deserve to go the way they went. Boris was instrumental to the downfall of David and to the downfall of Theresa May. He played politics and politics was played back at him. I don't see any backstabbing here.
So what you're saying is karma. Karma came big time for Boris Johnson to a certain
You
extent.
can say that. If I say K, you can say Arma. It's up to you.
Right. You know, I was just thinking about this, Anthony. And when Boris Johnson became the prime minister, there was a key pivotal moment in the UK, and it was Brexit. Right? They were at that point, that juncture there to get over this hurdle. And he came in with, let's get Brexit done. Okay. Theresa May came out of the picture, get Brexit done. And that was it. Now, we're at this pivotal moment again now where you have the economy. Now, I think the writing is on the wall in a certain way. Who is the right person to navigate the country out of this? Is it Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss? But then Rishi Sunak could still again become the chancellor, because we don't think Nazim Nawed, whatever his name is, going to remain as the chancellor. Liz Truss could become the prime minister. Are we saying that Rishi Sunak won't be the chancellor? Anthony, pick up that point where I'm talking about, whereby I say, is it Rishi Sunak is needed at this time because of the economic crisis in the world and in the UK?
Well, I think personally is that given that he's the two of them are the final two, it's inevitable, isn't it, that he will be in the cabinet, because his supporters are going to demand that he gets a cabinet table, and he's going to demand it as well. So if Liz Truss does become the prime minister, I would highly suspect that he would become the chancellor again, albeit you may have some of her members or supporters thinking, hang on, you're going to put somebody in the second most powerful office who wanted your job. So maybe we should put him in defense or somewhere a bit further away from you so that you obviously can make a clean break. But I'm pretty sure he will get a cabinet position. But you're right. I mean, you want somebody who fiscally actually understands what needs to be done, which Ortega has already outlined. He did a brilliant job with the furlough scheme and actually really saved a lot of companies' bacon from going out of business. And you need somebody like that who is competent to be able to navigate us out of these difficult times that we have right now. And going back to another point that Ortega mentioned about, the opportunities that come around, clearly, you're right about the point made that it was Boris Johnson who leaked all those things about his non-domicile status, his wife non-dom, and all the other bits that go with it. And he obviously was trying to undermine the Chancellor simply because he saw his popularity soaring. He saw how people were sort of seeing him as a potential future leader. And he thought, well, hang on a minute, it's all about me. I'm the one, I'm Boris. And I don't think he liked it. So, to be honest, I think you're right. It is karma. He's now got exactly what he did to David Cameron and Theresa May. But let's not beat around the bush here. I mean, Richie Sunak is a young guy who, in terms of the millennials, they probably would actually vote for him because he actually talks their language. He's their age group. They can see he's got charisma, charm, expertise, skill. He's articulate. They're all the things now. I mean, we have to give some credit to him. We've seen the old guard come and go now. We need somebody who is competent. There's no point putting somebody who is all style and no substance with Liz Truss, because all you're going to get is another repeat performance of Boris Johnson. And let's not forget, look at some of the people that Boris Johnson has put into his cabinet. Nadine Dorries. That's the sort of person who Liz Truss is similar to. Penny Mordaunt. What did Penny Mordaunt actually do to get onto the leadership ticket? What was her skills? What did she actually achieve in Parliament? Absolutely nothing. It's only because she was a Boris loyalist that she even got onto the ticket. I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised that these are the final two. I would have thought out of all the MPs the Conservative have, they would have more competent, more upstanding people of gravitas who actually they could put forward. But we've got these two, and the country has to, the members have to pick from one of them.
Very hard man to please. Gary. Yes, Gary, I'm coming to you now because you see everybody's actually going for Rishi. You got to be careful because they will shut down that show. Remember when we used to say anything about Rishi, the show used to get shut down. Gary, oh, hang on a second, Gary. Sorry, you're on mute. My apologies. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Gary.
That's all right. I would agree. No, I would agree with Anthony. I mean, there isn't anybody in the Conservative Party right now that has any gravitas. I don't think there's anybody at all, and it's the pick. The pick really is the I don't know if Anthony would agree with me, but it's the best of the bunch that they've got there. So anybody of any gravitas. I'm not even saying that. I'm even saying that to go back to the old guard. The old guard was for the era. I understand that. The old guard took the Conservatives through on their, Eton and wherever they went, and they had the money, they had the flair, they had the style of business. So I understand that, and I'm not saying that we ought to drag them through to this point in time. Yes, we have the millennials, as you call them, Anthony. Yes, we've got those that there are those now that the Conservative Party has to appeal to. So fine, I take my hat off to Rishi, because obviously he has stepped up. He says I can do it. I'm able. I'm capable. So therefore, I've got what it takes to appeal to the generation. However, the leadership that needs to be there. And I don't know if, when I say leadership, I don't know the leadership that I'm expecting is what you're expecting, or even what Ortega is expecting, or even what Sylbourne is expecting, because we're all of different minds, and we all demand different things. But I think that the leadership that is needed for this country right now, I don't think it's going to come through Rishi. And even though I understand what you're saying about Liz Truss, yes, what has she done, or what has Penny done? So we just have to try and just think, well, are they the best for this time? Are they the best? And I don't think, when you look and you view what's happening in other countries, in other economies, yes, and the leaders, some of these leaders are grabbing at the air because they're saying they're going to take us through this, they're going to take us through that. Well, how are they going to take England or the UK through this when other countries are struggling? I mean, not unless they've got a magic wand, and when they take England out of this, then they're going to take the US and Europe and everybody else out of it, because England will not come out of it and leave everybody behind. It's going to be a global collective effort to get things back on the road, and it will not surely be how it was 10, 15, 20 years back. So the leadership of this country is woeful at this moment in time, and I don't think there's anybody that has really proven themselves that they will be able to be successful in the way that we want it to be.
One of the things, I'll come to Ortega after this. One of the things that I was thinking about, and I'm getting a feedback there. Can you hear a she sound, guys? Okay, it's gone. One of the things I was thinking about was this, and we have been talking about this for a lot of time since the COVID bit, about leadership in the world. We have seen what's her name? Merkel has gone. We have seen the change in arm of America with Joe Biden, which is asleep. The UK Prime Minister, this person also should be someone that have some sense of gravitas on the world stage at this time, not just in the UK, because the world is going through this crisis, and the high cost of inflation has an impact because of the world crisis. Ortega, out of Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, who do you think would command a better world presence and stature?
This is a question that I've been thinking about for quite a while now, even while the contest was going on. Don't forget, my dear Kemi Badenoch was a candidate, and she pulled very well with the grassroots conservative. So I had my hopes. She was my candidate for a while. But whilst I was supporting her, off the back of my head was, how will the world stage accept her? We had a Barack Obama that actually did really well across the world, well respected. When Obama was elected, my fear was that would America lose face and lose stand when it comes to representation? But Obama had that gravitas, that charisma, and he was also backed by the almighty powers of being the president of the United States. I think this combination douses any sort of stereotype or prejudice that may come if a person of color becomes the prime minister or the president of the US or the UK. So if Obama has done it, I see, for instance, Richie able to pull it off. Richie shows some of the qualities that Obama carries. He has a presence in a room. He has the the power of speech. But we are in a very critical moment in world politics, especially the politics that's happening in Europe. We understand that Boris, for me, was an epitome. He had the figure of a Winston Churchill dealing with the Second World War, because what we have is that whether we like it or not, Europe is at the brink of war. We are still at the precipice. It doesn't seem like it appears seems things are easing off, but there is still very high level of tension going. When Boris appeared foot down in the Ukraine as the first leader that went to the Ukraine, it was a moment of pride for the British people. Would we have that? We have seen Liz Truss showing a bit of that as foreign secretary. She's had a lot of engagement. She's made very bold statements against Russia. Richie Sunak had not perhaps said much. Richie Sunak, I don't know what is going on, and I can't comment on that. His Indian connection seemed to be very strong, and that might be an issue that might keep playing up, because we
At least,
remember that Donald Trump had business relationships even in Russia, and that was always used against him in a way that there was a level of control from Russia. But Richie also, India has a close relationship with Russia, and Richie Sunak's father-in-law, that plays a very influential role in his life, has that relationship in India. So these sort of things might play up. With the question is, can he be trusted? Because when you become PM, all the secrets of state, you are debriefed on them. So these are the things that might be playing in the minds of some of the voters right now that are thinking about this. But my general judgment is that both people will represent this country in a great way, and have confidence that whatever choice the party makes, we will have a good PM in any of them.
But I think, Ortega, just to cut in what you just said there, Ortega, I think the one thing that I think is going to play, you're right about the nature of Sunak's background being Indian, but I think the key thing, that the elephant in the room, of course, is that he's non-white, and the members of the Conservative Party, they are predominantly white, and they are predominantly quote unquote middle class to upper class, right? And my concern here is that they're going to see someone who is not like them, and I don't know if they will be able to stomach having somebody like America made that decision. Would they go so far as to actually have in number 10? They're quite happy to see him in number 11 because he's doing the job underneath the control of number 10. But even though I think he's the best man for the job, I think the membership, because of the demographic of who they are, their age group, they're perhaps biased towards white middle class men and tradition. I think that Richie probably won't make it.
You know, um, I'm glad that you really reached there, Gary, Anthony, because that was my next point about do we trust the membership, and and there's a big thing about who will choose the winner, and it says that more than half the Tory membership is age 50 or above. Yeah, the Tory party membership is predominantly male from the top social class, male 63%, female 37%, social class ABC 180%, you know. And so the question we need to ask ourselves, is it a done deal in a certain way? What do you think the membership will deliver, Anthony? And then I go to Gary and I go to Ortega. Based
Well, I
on the
think I've already had
membership.
my say on it. I think really we should go to Gary or Ortega because I think my take I've just mentioned. I think the membership will go for Liz Truss.
Gary?
I'm very happy. I mean, Sylbourne and I have had this 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 kind of
Discussion.
conversation, discussion over the past week, and I'm also glad with what Ortega has said because that is the crucial thing. I would be very surprised if Rishi gets it. I won't be disappointed. But I'll be very surprised. I'm going to say something else here, and I mean, it's the elephant in the room, right? The whole country. This United Kingdom that we live in is a white country. It's Christian. Yes. Sunak is Sikh, is he not?
Hindu, I think.
Or
Might be
Hindu?
Sikh. Hindu,
Right.
I think.
Right. Now that says a lot. That is going to speak volumes. And when and there's there's a large Sikh stroke Hindu stroke Muslim population in this country. Asian. There's a large Asian population or constituency in this country. And that is going to speak volumes. Don't ever believe that Rishi is going to get in and nothing happens because there's going to be a great seismic move in this country, and the elephant in the room, and there's quite a few big elephants, so I don't know how these elephants going to move in this one room. There's some big elephants in this room, I'm telling you. So there's more than one, and they're all of different sizes and colors anyway. So, no. Is the Englishman going to be happy with an Asian on the hot seat? That needs to be done. Plus, the Conservative Party wants to win the next election. That is first and foremost. So they're going to have to be very careful what they do. Because whoever gets in onto that seat is going to be the one to take them into the general election. And anyhow they lose that election, whoever is in that seat anyway is going to be asked to resign. Because if Rishi gets in and resign and loses, right, then it's going to be said because of who he was. If Truss gets in and she loses, it's going to be said, well, because of who she is. So I think there's a lot of dynamics going on here. There is a lot at play. And I don't think that the Conservative Party is going to have an easy time choosing who they want to be the leader plus, because whoever is going to be the leader is going to be the PM, and they won't go to the country straight away. I don't think there's going to be a general election anytime soon when they go in. And if they do, and when they do go in, my friend, they're going to want to win it. They're all out to win that election. And I don't know. It's going to be tight. It's going to be. I really want to see what happens with this one. I really want to see, because the English population, let's really be frank here. The English population of this country, take us out of it, right? What are they saying? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter, what they put, about not being racist or racial or anything like that. All of that is at play now. All of that is there. So the English population of this country, the parliamentary party needs to make the right decision, because if they don't make the right decision, this country is going to decapitate them.
The parliamentary party has made their decision already. It's now over to the members, right?
Oh, the members, yeah.
I would like to make some statements about what Mr. Graham just said.
Yes.
I worked many years as a social researcher, so I have a lot of data on how this country behaves. Now, I do not think this country is a religious country anymore. I don't think your religion really matters to the average person in this country. They don't really fully understand the difference in the consequences of religion in a way. So I don't believe they would vote along religious line. But the race, which is the color of your face, is still very there. Is still very present. It's going to be an issue. But I do believe that at some point the country would have to come to a point where religion is no longer or the color of your skin is no longer a consideration, but your policy. Now, Ireland, that's not far away, have voted an Asian gay prime minister. I can't. The former prime minister of Ireland was not just Asian, but if I can remember, he was gay.
Stick up in there, Atiga. Stick up in there. I'm gonna let Anthony go, because I know he's got an appointment, because this conversation is we're gonna go on a bit. Anthony, thank you so much. You said your last word. You said your last word already.
Yeah, I have indeed. Have a good one, Ortega and Gary, and you yourself, Sylbourne, and I'll catch up with you guys again soon. Thank you.
Good man.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
So if I may, I don't believe, and I don't think we have a data. I don't believe that this country would be so concerned about religion. If we look at Sikh or Hinduism, it has been less of a threat to Christianity, to the prominence of Christianity. So there's no evidence that the conservative public would vote on that line. Now, if we look at race, you find out that the polling that happened when Kemi Badenoch was still in the race, she was polling 34% as a black woman within the grassroots conservative. So the people who are going to be voting now, 34% of them thought Kemi was right to be prime minister. What does that tell you? It tells you also that race is not an issue. I think the reason Richie is polling less is because Boris Johnson is still a very popular prime minister among the grassroots. And this idea that Richie has backstabbed him is playing on the minds of people. I'm part of different groups. People in this group chats, people in this platforms are saying the reason we are not voting Richie is because he backstabbed Boris. Nothing else. Nothing about his race. Nothing about his religion. And I think that is the case. I think this country, what people don't know, and especially the Conservative Party, is that the party has made significant progress. People may not be able to see it, but the party, and I would not be surprised that if Richie actually tries his best in the next few weeks to show what he can do to charm
Liz Truss.
Yes.
So Liz Truss come over to him and say,
and if Liz Truss does really bad, you might see a shift. Don't get me wrong. Don't be surprised that you might find that when push comes to shove, Richie might win this poll.
Okay.
I mean,
Gary?
I, just in short, I mean, I take what you've said, Ortega, and I bow to your I bow to your better judgment, because since you've worked in that area and you've got data to back up what you've said. However, I think that I will agree, that Christianity, you see, anybody that says what religion is the UK, it's Christian. I mean, yeah, we all know that they don't go to church. We know they don't go, but it's Christian. Plus, at the same time, not only is it amongst the conservative members do they have to appeal to? They've got to appeal to the greater. I mean, the population of the UK is far greater, as we all know. It's far greater than the membership of the Conservative Party. So yes, the Conservative Party may and can always put Rishi in, thinking that he's the best, thinking again that nothing in relation to his ethnicity or to his culture or to anything like that. But it's the rest of the country. What do they think? Who do they want to see in that seat? And that's what I was really talking about. I wasn't really reflecting or trying to give a reflection of the Conservative Party. I was just talking on the whole, really, that it's the country that I'm thinking about, that they are not wanting to see. For instance, Ortega, you may have a better better thinking or knowing of me right now. But again, do you think that this country right now, forget about what's happening in Ireland. Ireland is one thing. Ireland is a completely different kettle of fish.
Ireland is more religious than the UK.
Okay,
Catholicism is
okay.
very strong there. But let
True,
me let you finish your
true.
your point here.
Yeah, but do you honestly think that this United Kingdom that we are now living in and seeing what we're seeing, do you think that, let me say, a Barack Obama, a black man, could win and become prime minister?
One thing Obama did really
Hold on,
well
hold
is
on.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yes
think
or no? Yes or no? Because because I know you want to explain it. I know you. No. There's nothing wrong with you. What you're gonna do, but I want you to just answer. Do you think?
and we don't have much time. We're supposed to be shutting
I
down.
will tell you yes. Yes. Do you know why? Because other MPs have to win their constituency. The grassroots people go out and they campaign. And it's not just about one man. The British people vote on policy, your manifesto, and your members of parliament, your team. It's not just, it's a combination of all sorts of things. It's not just the face of the person who may become, because don't forget, the person who becomes prime minister is just in himself a party leader. There are other members of parliament that have to go out to the British people to say, vote for our party because we do this for you.
Okay.
You hear the music playing. One of the things I sense though, Ortega, that the membership have to do, they have to be the heirs of the nation and move away from their personal thinking. Don't you think? They've got to be listening to what people are actually saying. They've got to be going around and talking to people, isn't it?
Yes, you see, ordinary people play a very important role. Obviously, the electorate. These things ought to be looked at, but people make very emotional decisions sometimes. It's a combination of things. So I do agree with you uh, 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 that we ought to see a survey saying will they support a Liz Truss or Richie? But when we had a Theresa May and possible Boris Johnson, that was not the thought of the party. People just voted who they thought was charismatic, woo them.
All right. Well, listen, guys. It's an interesting conversation, a good one, and we're gonna keep going at this. And another thing we're gonna talk about another time. We weren't able to get hold of it, is the chemi factor. The chemi factor as to, can we see very soon a black prime minister in the likes of Kemi? Why and why not? Because one of the things that we picked up is that a lot of people believe that it is impossible, and a lot of people have put her down, but she rises. You know, so we got to talk about
not possible for a black man, but a black woman.
Is
That
it?
would be where I'll start from. Yeah,
Okay.
not a black man, a black woman.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, I tell you one thing for sure is that we're going to be watching to see the outcome of this election, and then we'll go back to our analysis, and we're going to go back to this show, and we're going to rewatch the tapes.
No, I mean, it's quite not strange, but it's interesting to know what Ortega just said, because you see, with a black woman being in a position, it's not as threatening as a black man being in a position. That is the difference there, and that's that's what society, that's what we as a culture, that's what we've got to, because it's so much more difficult for us as men to get anywhere in this society. We've got to really work for it. You know, we've got to really struggle. Now, I'm not saying that the black woman doesn't have to struggle. Yes, she struggles just as much as the black man. But in the eyes of those who are above, they don't see our women as antagonistic, if I can use that word, as the black man.
It is very interesting that we have to do another show on that point there about a woman more rising to the power than a man, because the man is felt to be more threatening. We've got to do that. We've got to do that, Gary. Ortega, listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for Ortega for coming on tonight. Who joined us, social change agent, CEO of BlueBowRC.com, currently the national debate leader at the CPF, with work focus on the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sports, and Reverend Gary Graham as well. Gary, I see you got a team here. Gary, somebody said Team Gary Graham.
Yeah, I must big up DN, man. I must big up DN and Michelle. At least I've got two in my fan club.
I big up DN as well.
Ortega, in the last word, sir. Ortega.
I think I want to thank you for giving me a chance to come and speak in your show. It's enjoyable to also listen to Reverend Gary, and it's very the points he's raised, and also Anthony as well. I look forward to another chance to engage. I think this would be nice to. It's always good to hear from a generation that have gone ahead of you, have more experience. Yeah, so I'll be adding you, sir, on Facebook. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Gary, have a good night. God bless you. And remember to like and share the show, because we get more views after, and I think the conversation was very interesting and very empowering as well. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bless you, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Gary, I'll come back to you. All the best, Gary. Take care of yourself. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining tonight. And also, just to let you know, my first guest tonight was Christine Campbell-Swaby. Just want to give that one more plug. Kariba Education Center, 7 Gresham Road, Sunday, July the 24th, 2022. Do you have outstanding land matters, need to probate a will or administer an estate in Jamaica? Free legal seminar presented by British Jamaican attorney at law, Christine Campbell-Swaby. And that is this Sunday, July the 24th, 2022. Check that out. Thank you, Christine, for coming on. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Ortega. Thank you, Anthony Francis, as well. And we'll see who is going to be the next Prime Minister of the UK. Is it going to be Liz Truss, or is it going to be Rishi Sunak? It's going to be one of them. Indian Asian or a Caucasian woman. The third woman prime minister for the UK. Labour, what's going on? Come on, sort yourself out, man. Okay, guys, all the best. Peace out. Remember to like and subscribe. Saturday night on Talk and Sip, and check me out in the morning on Walk and Talk Motivational Moments. Okay, peace out.